So there's this thing which has been bothering me a little bit for a while now. It's something I've mentioned in the replies to comments a little bit, and something that I've talked to a few people about. It concerns WWE and how they handle, well, the brand split, their draft, like when they do the draft, how they like move wrestlers, and Survivor Series, especially this year. Now, it's been a thing for the past couple of years, but particularly this year. This year's Survivor Series 2020, it's Monday Night Raw versus Friday Night SmackDown. Raw versus SmackDown. We've got a men's Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination match, a women's Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination match. We have some champion versus champion matches. Now, my issue with the brand split and the draft and Survivor Series, it really concerns the Survivor Series elimination matches. So I'm now going to read you this is just a straight fact. So, in the men's Survivor Series elimination match, I'm going to go over the guys in the match, okay? So Team Raw, this is Team Raw in the men's match. AJ Styles, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, Riddle, and Keith Lee. Do you see anything there? Do you see any trends? I mean, what I see is 4 of the 5 guys, so Styles, Sheamus, Strowman, and Riddle, they were all SmackDown guys literally a month ago. But I'm supposed to believe, and we're supposed to believe, that now, after they've bled blue for like a year, now all of a sudden they're going to gallantly fight it out for Monday Night Raw against the evil, almighty, blue SmackDown team. Like, is anyone supposed to really care? It doesn't make sense. This is why having the draft when they do it, it doesn't make sense. Like, this is, it's not the end of the world. It's not some massive, huge problem. There are much bigger issues in the world, 100%. I'm not trying to make a huge fuss. But does it just bother anyone how little this makes sense? And then I look at Team SmackDown. Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and a member who's to be determined. So in that team, Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins both bled red as of a month ago. They were Monday Night Raw superstars, and now they're on Team SmackDown. So, based on some quick maths, 6 of the 9 guys currently in the 5-on-5 men's Survivor Series elimination match, 6 of the 9 guys a month ago were on the opposite show. The show they're supposed to be vehemently fighting against at Survivor Series, they were on that brand. So, like, my suspension of disbelief just doesn't work here. I can't bring myself to, like, on Survivor Series night, on Sunday night, when we have Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins fighting for their life against Styles and Braun Strowman and Team Raw. I can't bring myself to think, oh my god, come on Kevin, take it to the evil red brand. Like, it's just, does anyone think about this kind of stuff? Does this stuff just go over people's heads? Like, this is the kind of thing which I've thought about. It's just like a common sense thing. And it's like, well, why should us as fans care? And I look at the women's match. The women's match, so Team Raw, you've got Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, and Lana. So, off the top of my head, because I haven't memorized these rosters fully from pre-brand split to now, but from the top of my head, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke were on SmackDown a month ago. Now they're on Raw, so they're going to be vehemently fighting against the show they were on a month ago. And for Team SmackDown, who only have 3 of the 5 members announced 6 days out from the show, Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, and Liv Morgan. And off the top of my head, all of them were on Raw a month ago. All of them. So, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Now, one of the things I like to do with this channel is, instead of just purely complaining about what they're doing wrong with the WWE or whoever, I like to give solutions and say what they could do. Now, this is a very, 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 very simple thing they can do. It's basic, it makes sense, I'd like to think. What you do, you have your Survivor Series show be the all-encompassing season finale of sorts. You have your Raw, your SmackDown wrestlers work on those brands for like a year, and in my case, ideally, I want wrestlers on brands for like 2, 3, 4 years. I want wrestlers on these brands for like a long time, really establishing brand identity. Because if you're going to go ahead and do the brand split, if you're going to do the brand split at all, you're better off having guys have real brand identity. For example, let's look at the 2000s. When they did that brand split, you looked at Triple H. Triple H was Monday Night Raw for life. You looked at Triple H and you thought, that man's holding the big gold belt on Monday Night Raw with Evolution and facing Shawn Michaels and putting over Batista and all that kind of stuff. You looked at Triple H and you thought SmackDown. Meanwhile, you looked at The Undertaker and all you could think about was Friday Night SmackDown. Triple H was Raw, Undertaker was SmackDown, Cena was SmackDown for many years, and then he finally moved over in 2005, which was a big shocking moment. Remember when Chris Jericho announced that John Cena, the guy who had worked on SmackDown for 3 years and really built his star up, was moving to Raw? It felt like a massive thing. It was like, oh my god, Cena's now on Raw? What the hell? But nowadays, I look at when they do a draft, and it's like, oh, okay, Sheamus is now moving from SmackDown to Raw. Who cares? Because these guys don't have brand identity. And it's really hard to create brand identity when they're on one brand, you draft them to the other brand, and then they're facing the brand that they were on a month ago at Survivor Series in an elimination match. You know, like, this kind of stuff just doesn't add up. This kind of stuff is so easy to fix, and all you have to do is have the WWE draft take place the week after Survivor Series. Have Survivor Series be your end-all, be-all, Raw vs. SmackDown, guys and, you know, and women and women's wrestlers and male wrestlers and all these kind of people who've wrestled for these brands for upwards of like 4 years, get to compete against the other brand, give it some stakes, have the winning team, the winning team, their brand will have the 30th entrant in the Royal Rumble match for the men, and for the men's match, and then for the women, it's the same thing. Or, I don't know, the sole survivor gets a title shot against that brand's world champion. Give it something. So, have it make sense, give it some stakes. That way, Survivor Series feels more important. Because I'm looking at this Survivor Series 2020 card, thinking to myself, once again, okay, Styles, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, Riddle, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, and Liv Morgan were all on the shows that they're competing against at Survivor Series like a month ago. So that just doesn't make sense. So hopefully this video has made sense. Basically, what I want WWE to do, very simple solution going forward, try and give these guys brand identity, ideally. Okay, when I look at Randy Orton, I think Raw to an extent. When I think Drew McIntyre, I think Raw. When I think Roman Reigns, I think SmackDown. When I think, I mean, that's about it, to be honest, because everyone else I don't associate with brand identity at all. So basically, have these guys either stay on these brands long term or scrap the brand split altogether and actually try some different stuff with having all the guys on one show. Because one of the things that I was thinking back in 2016 when you initially did the brand split was, how's this going to work? Because the brand split itself, you need a deep enough roster to be able to do it. You need a roster where there's heaps of personnel, like back in 2002. The reason they did the brand split to begin with was because they had so many great personnel, they had such a deep roster, that when you split it in two, there were enough stars on both shows to where people would be compelled to watch. And at the same time, there were enough up-and-coming stars to where you wanted to see, you know, these stars shine and get their opportunity. But now from 2016 on, especially in the past like couple of years, that's not been there. It's just been, here's some guys, here's some female wrestlers, this guy's moved from SmackDown to Raw, this woman's moved from Raw to SmackDown. Like, okay, who cares? Why should I care? Where's their brand identity? Like, when they do the drafts now, I don't really care. Because I don't really think, oh my god, the Undertaker's moved from SmackDown to Raw. No way, Undertaker was on SmackDown for 6 straight years. He's now on Raw. What? Oh my god, he's a legit star that's moving shows. Oh my god, Batista's been moved from Raw to SmackDown. How will I cope? Like, it's not like that anymore. You've got a brand split where none of this feels special. Survivor Series couldn't feel less important on Sunday night. It really couldn't. I look at this card, and none of the matches jump out at me. Asuka vs. Sasha Banks. We've seen it several times before. We saw that through the whole summer, or the winter if you're from Australia. We've seen that through, and like, for example, the New Day versus the Street Profits. We've seen that match a couple times. Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn. We saw that back in 2018. Remember the Three Sisters segment? Awful. Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. Maybe Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, depending on when you see this video. Literally, that match, we've seen both of those combinations several times. Granted, McIntyre versus Reigns, I want to see at the moment, but even then, we've seen the match already. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown for the women. Half these women were on the opposite brand a month ago. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown for the men. 6 of the 9 wrestlers were on the opposite brand a month ago. So you see the point. This whole thing, WWE probably should address this. This is a very simple thing to do. Either scrap the brand split or move the draft to the week after Survivor Series. It's really not hard. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and drill. See ya.